Welcome to the Connecting Life podcast. I'm your host, Dianaboskma, and I'm here to help you connect the dots of life so that you can live your best life in a healthy and fulfilling way. Today, I'm talking with Mick Mize. He's a good friend of mine and a business and personal coach, and overall, just a really cool human being. So, Mick, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, I used to be an actor for 20 plus years. Yeah, in high school, I found my people and I was like, I get to be nerdy and, effusive and earnest with these people and they like it. And I can talk Monty Python with them and they are down for it. And
Cool.
I kept chasing that high, chasing that dragon through college and afterwards. And I did a bunch of exciting stuff, including my most prominent thing was a Cirque du Soleil show. Where I traveled around North America for a year with a touring show. I was the audience plant. I was the guy who pretends like he's not really with the show, but gets pulled up on stage and harassed like he's a normal human. It was so fun. And all that while I was making ends meet. All the while I did, theater. Like it's a passion career. It's like working with animals or writing or working on films, right? These are passion careers that there's so many people want to do that it's easy for the bottom to get real low in terms of what people are willing to do for pay and the level of internships that are expected and just the amount of like grunt work expected. So I was doing that deal, and it took me a while to sort of uncover that I could actually live a life that was both prosperous financially, but also just was really aligned. Anyway, I could get into details, but my background is in theater, and I found my way through doing jobs in tech, working for an educational company as a career coach, and now I'm running my own show as a business and personal coach.
How cool. I didn't even know that bit about you.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
All right. So Mick and I will have a conversation about systems today because systems make and break a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. So for you, what's the most important thing you've learned about systems?
Oh, man. Is it okay to have 5 most important things?
Oh, yeah, go for it. Go for it. However many are really important to you.
Yeah. I think the first thing is that systems don't have to be scary.
Good one.
I was an artist, right? And I've lived the artist life for many years. And the reason theater works so well for me and the way that I did theater is because I've always been very empathetic and also very intuitive and very pleasure oriented. Right? It was always easier for me to get motivated by pleasure and excitement and curiosity and just fun than it was by like, this will lead to something good. I could never make myself do like scut work or just, people say like, grind it out and you'll get there.
Yep.
Right. And so for me, anytime I heard the word systems or processes, right, I heard like, get rigid, get strict, and I have that urge too, and I have all the cultural messaging that we all have about what it takes to actually perform at a high level or do things that are worthwhile, which is like, you got to work hard, know. And so when I heard the word systems or the idea of using systems to help myself accomplish things, it was like this strict and rigid and small thing and seemed opposed to pleasure. But systems don't have to be scary. Another word for systems is games. A game that you play with your life, with your day, with your morning that helps you set you up. So for example, one of the games that I play in my morning is that I get up before anybody else. That's a system.
It is.
Okay. I start making coffee. Once I have my coffee, I go and I sit down and I write creatively for about an hour until my kids get up. And that is a game that I play in my life because I found it gets me some of the things that I want, which is like connection to something that is entirely for me. Not my kids, not my wife, not my business, not my personal development, right? But if I can run that system for myself, and I've had to identify the sort of elements of it that actually work for me, right? The pleasure again, the thing that works for me, this feels good when I do it this way.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a system, that's a game that I play. And all that ties back to like systems don't have to be scary or rigid or harsh. They can actually, I can bring pleasure to them.
Yeah, one of my things is that in my plan of how to run my business is gamify it. That's how I've called it. Because the more I make it a game, as in, okay, we're going to do that. That's the grind for here, and then I achieve that, and da 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 da. Because I like gaming, so I might as well make my business a game.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
I had with one game that was literally about running a business, the game, and I did so well in it. And then I had this thing: can I translate what I did in that and play that same system out in my own business? Oh, yes, I can.
Yes. Yes, and part of the system is the willingness to sort of come back to that idea that is helpful and inspiring. Yeah. Wait. This is a game. If I treat this as a game, I get more options. I get more motivation. I get more interest. And remembering that, there are systems, right, to help you remember that. Or doing that is part of the system of the game of. Yeah. Right? So that's actually the second thing about systems that I'll mention is the most important thing is, right, is that everything can be viewed as a system. Yeah. Right? So we were just talking before you started recording and you said, are you ready? And I said, yes, I've showered. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And part of what I realized just while musing on systems, while showering, was that showering is actually a game I play. It's a system I use to help me feel ready for the day. Yeah. And lots of people can relate to, like, I can't do my day if I don't have a shower. If I don't brush my teeth, I don't feel like I'm right. Or if I get home and the first thing I do is I wash my hands. Like, whatever the thing is, that is a system that helps me feel like, hey, I've actually got my crap together. I'm an adult human who has combed hair, and that makes me feel just more stable, more competent. Yep.
For me, it's the girly things, the scarf and the eyeliner. Then I'm ready for work. Yes. Then I'm ready for the game.
Yes. And taking the time to do those things sets you up mentally. It helps focus you. There's a bunch of things that happen in there, but that is a system that you have found over the years helps you go, I'm ready. Yeah. So if everything is a system, so the book that I got all this from is this one. It's called The Power of Systems, and it's by Trevor Timbeck and Steve Chandler. And for all the coaches out there, Steve Chandler is very prominent. He's the founder of the Prosperous Coach method, along with another coach. The Prosperous Coach method being basically a system for getting into conversations with people who may not know what's possible in coaching, and giving it to them, and giving them the experience of being coached and of being in the room with you as a coach. And so then they get a chance to go, oh, that was really interesting. Thank you, not for me. Or like, wow, that was super triggering. I hated that. God, hide. Or that was really promising. Could we talk about, I want to keep doing that.
Yeah, the I want to keep doing that is so cool to experience. Also, actually, the oh no, I never want to do this again has also been really interesting to experience. Yes. Although that's been far fewer. But yes, it's interesting. For some people, it's kind of, I don't know, somewhat triggering of sorts. That there's so much possible. It's really scary. And many of those actually come back eventually, which is also interesting.
Yeah. And I also find that, like, part of the system that I love too is just going, what's it like for us to be in this space together, right? To occupy this container together. And after a minute, often with the people for whom it either seems triggering or it's just not landing, it's like, oh, we're just not the right fit. Right? Maybe if they were talking with somebody else, they would have the click, or they would be sharing a language that makes sense to them. Yep. But anyway, all this was about Steve Chandler and Trevor Timbeck in the book, The Power of Systems. And Steve and Trevor Trevor says in the book, he says, the system I have for writing this book is to spend about a half an hour to an hour every morning writing. And then I would share what I got with Steve, and he would make notes, and we'd rewrite a little bit, and then that'd be a chapter. Yeah. And so, like, a system for writing books. And so if everything's available to be a system, then, and this is my ultimate point where I was going, is that if we take it away from psychology, oh, I don't want it enough, or I'm afraid of success,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
It's going to be hard and I'm going to have to show up for that. And I don't know that I'm a serious enough person. I might not be ready, quote unquote, right,
Mm-hmm.
for that life that I want. That's all psychological understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with they take great pains to point this out in the book. A professional psychotherapist, a professional psychiatrist is a trained professional who can help navigate with a lot of nuance and detail.
Yeah.
Right. And there is plenty of room for that as effective for creation. But most of what the most of us are doing is using folk psychology, is using pop psychology. We are not trained individuals. And so we end up going, oh, I'm afraid of success, or I'm not ready. Right. Yep. And these psychological concepts, then, even if they're interesting and like, oh, maybe it was because of this thing that happened to me and I'm still scared of this kind of thing and I'm going to investigate that, then that can be really interesting, but it also tends not to create the kind of functionality in people's lives. Very often in my experience, it turns into this endless and sort of self-reinforcing series of questions and rabbit holes, and it's not functional. Whereas systems, if everything is systems, then it gives a functionality to making adjustments to our lives, where we can go, okay, so I want to get this thing done. What's the system I have for doing that? And that's so I can get into that, but that's like the second, I think, big point that really jumped out for me is that
that makes sense.
Everything can be a system.
Yep, and then you don't have to have the emotions with it because it's just a system. Is something you do. Yes. I literally have a tick box of things that I go through, and I don't even think about it anymore. It's just what I do.
It's just what I do.
Yeah, it is just what I do. And I do this on Monday, that on Tuesday, that on Wednesday, because my days are slightly different, and it's just what I do. Don't think about it.
And you've given yourself that. You've revealed those elements that are present through experimentation, I assume?
Yeah, I needed to figure out how to make it the best system for me, because that's one of these things, is in what works for me will not work for you. And what works for you will not work for me, or maybe a little bit, but it's not going to be ideal because everybody is different in that. So for me, it was this thing of, Monday is admin day. So my system does most of the admin work on Monday. Yeah. Then I have the coaching days on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. So that is then also, that's what I do. And in between, I do a little bit of responding to messages and a little bit of outreach, but not the full-on outreach, because that's my Monday system. Yes. So I do every outreach for the whole week on Monday. Done. Saves a lot of thinking, saves a lot of, because if I would do it every day, which initially I had to do to even get used to the idea of doing it.
Yes.
So initially it was this thing, oh my God, this is so scary. I can't just reach out to people and tell them, hey, this is what I do. Would you like to experience that? Well, actually I can. So I had to get that system in my head as in, it's a game, I can do this. Yes. So then I did it initially every day, but I didn't have a lot of coaching going on. So it was easy to do. And at some point I had to rethink my system. Yes. Because it wasn't working anymore. So then I adjusted. And that's how systems work. You do it until it doesn't feel like it is fully working anymore. You change it to the point where, yes, this is working again, until you run into something again, and then you adjust it again. At least that's how it works for me.
That's how it works. That's so many things in there I think are so wonderful. I think the iterative sort of continual development of effective systems
always
is a feature of them that sometimes I can really feel is intimidating. Right? Yes. But I just want the answer. I just want to find the thing that works and never have to think about it again. Right?
Yeah, that's not life.
No, it's not. But when, as I've gotten it into my head, and as I've helped clients with this too, I've seen that. So there's so much nuance, obviously. And the system that works for you is not going to be the one that works for me.
No.
Right. But I think one of the things to be sort of that's really helped me in my adoption of this mindset, of this framework, of this set of practices and a system for sort of adapting how I am in the world is saying, okay, like for now, this is what
Yeah.
I'm going to do. And that's if they were going to go with your initial question, like what are the most important things? Like one of the important aspects of systems is a sort of iterative or experimental approach.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
There's another book that I have called Tiny Experiments.
Oh, that sounds cool.
The author's name is Anne-Laure Lecomte. She's French, I believe, Algerian. I believe she's French Algerian. And she worked at Google for many years, but then really got into neuroscience. And the goal of her blog that she started that became really popular, and the business that she now has, and the thought leadership she does, is she says, listen, the more we see things that we want to step into as a series of small experiments, rather than I adopt this thing and this is now what I do and who I am, right? That we have so much more ability to adjust, and there's a lightness to it, a lack of heavy sort of buy-in and rigidity. Right? I can see this idea just lighting you up.
Yeah, I've had that with other things as well. When, for instance, one of the things that I learned from Steve Chandler was don't look at things as problems. They're projects. Projects where you step by step go through one by the other, every step you just take. Because when it's a problem, it's a mountain. When it's a project, you just have your steps to go get a goal to achieve. It's such a different vibe to it. And that's with experiments or, same thing, because it just feels different. The word just lands differently inside, and it makes it so much easier to do. I'm going to get that book. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's like really interesting. It's definitely for I actually have only read the first half of it.
Sometimes that works. I've done that with several books where I read part of it and had to say, yes, I get it. And then I didn't. Then the rest is fine. I don't need to read the rest. I checked the chapters whether anything new came up, but no. It's usually a bit repetition.
Well, and yeah, this has been a great blog post, and now I'm good, right?
Yeah.
The system I used to have for books in my life, I've always been a huge reader. I've always loved to read, but one of the ways I had to adjust the way I read and the system that I had was that if I started something, I needed to finish it, and it turned into a sense of obligation, of duty, and it became heavy in some cases. And so the system I started adopting, I don't even know, I said, I'll give anything 50 pages. Right. And so that became a system. And these days I'm like, hey, if I mostly read fiction, but if I'm not in after like one reading session, maybe 20 pages, I'm probably done. I can allow myself to just let it go. Yeah. Right.
I had to learn that as well.
Yes.
It's a weird thing. I had it with TV series as well. When I started it and it looked fun, then I had to finish the whole thing. No, I don't.
No,
I literally do not.
Yeah.
But it was something I had to learn with books, with TV series, with both. It was just, and now it's when I get the message from the book, it can be done. It is fine. If I've only read half of it or even a third of it, but I got the message, I got what I needed from it, it's okay. Then someone else can read it. It's cool.
Absolutely. And there's going back to that, you said something that really jumped out to me, which is the idea of the experiment. Using that language changes our appreciation of what's going on.
Yes. Yeah.
And that is that's I think probably the biggest takeaway for me from the book Tiny Experiments is don't see this as the new way that Mick does things, right? I get up in the mornings and I go for a run because I'm a runner, or, it's important for me to be healthy in this way, this is the way I eat now. And instead, if I can just go, hey, for the next 3 weeks, for the next 6 months, I'm going to experiment with this approach. And all of that is going to be gathering data. All of that is going to be sort of, playing with the nuances, but I'm in for this thing for the duration of this experiment. And then I'm going to sort of step back and I can approach that however I want. Maybe by then I know I'm never running again. Right?
Yes.
Right? Or if, say, I want to lose weight, right? Or change the way I'm eating and what my health is, it's like, probably pretty quickly you have a sense, but
Mhm.
follow that through, right? The experiment comes with certain sort of things with it, and you can set up the experiment that works for you.
Yeah.
Right. But then
Yep.
all of this coming back to systems, right? There's a reason I've come back to the book, The Power of Systems, multiple times, is because there's a nuance to it and a helpfulness in sort of the bigness of the ideas and the lack of sort of here's how to do it that I keep getting. And so a system for iterating, a system for continuing to follow helpful thoughts is to reread.
Yes.
Right?
Rereading does help. Yep.
Yeah. And
Advanced
I don't know.
different the second and the third time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It hits different. I'm a big rereader of fiction. Actually, I've reread some of my favorite books many, many times, and there's a reason I do that.
Yeah, I have a couple of books that I have. There was a series of books that I read as a teenager, and it really sat with me. It literally, those were 3 books that were like, wow, not fiction, but wow.
Yeah.
And I lent them from the library back then, and then moved around the world a bit, and just I didn't buy them, so it was this thing. Do they even still have them? And then I found them on Kindle, like 4 years ago, and I read them again, and wow, they were still wow.
Yes.
But in a totally different way. I got
Yes.
so much out of it in such a different way that it was this thing. These are still wow, but in such a different way now. How on earth can it be such a different experience? Well, to be fair, there was like 40 years between, so yes, it would have been a different experience. But yeah, it was such a different experience, but still with this whole wow feeling with it, and that's been really cool because I have the one book that I have reread the most is The 4 Agreements, simply because it just lands different every time.
Yes. Yes. And what a lovely system for sort of re-exploring, like getting back into, and also I think part of it for me, when I am do a reread, part of what I'm doing is like checking in with these ideas. And to your point about what this was still wow, all these years later. And I think the thing I want to remind myself of, and any listeners too, is that if the thing for me, if it doesn't have that wow, if it doesn't have that pull, I have become okay with letting it go or putting it down, right? Or like you said, I don't have to watch this whole show, right?
That's the thing.
I don't have this wow. I think one of the core systems I have started to really trust for myself is follow the pleasure, follow the curiosity, follow the fun. Now, I think it would be helpful to get some examples about how to start utilizing these ideas in people's lives if they're interested in them. And I think for me, so one of the big systems is follow the fun. Right? Find where the pleasure is. And some people hear that, and I've mentioned that to clients, I've mentioned that to friends, and some people hear it as like, well, yeah, but everything can't be fun. Sometimes you just gotta grind. And I have a lot of compassion for that, like knee-jerk response that like, well, no. But also
it's how we've culturally been indoctrinated, as I would say, because there's always this thing of you got to work hard.
Yes.
Work is not, you have to choose between fun and work. You can't have it both, but you can.
But yes, and so bringing in that appreciation, like part of what's happening there is I think the words I'm using aren't landing the way that I'm intending them to.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's a system there. It's like, okay, well, how do I communicate this idea most effectively? So for me, follow the pleasure is find what in this thing that needs to be done.
Yes.
Is pleasurable, is curiosity provoking, is exciting, right? And sometimes that takes just some showing up for and some doing, right? Experimenting. And that's such a great sort of umbrella for it. It's like, okay, so let's experiment with this and let's see what happens. Right? One of the things that I've always been so surprised about by writing fiction which I now love to do, was that I was always intimidated by it. And I always thought it needed to be something and I needed to be heading towards something. And these days I write with absolutely no intention of ever publishing. Right?
Cool. Yep.
I might, but I have no, my intention is to try to tell this story as best I can. And what I find is that every time I show up for it, I am completely captured by it and I have an amazing time. But there's an entire book about this called The War of Art by a guy named Stephen Pressfield, who talks about how the resistance that shows up before we dive into the art is one of the primary battles that we have in the world. And managing and working with our resistance to that thing is an essential part of art creation.
Yes, I can see that.
Yeah, and so finding that fun, giving myself the opportunity, sometimes it does take a little bit of just trying, right? Experiment. And so all of this is to say, so that's a system that works really well for me. Right? Where's the
it makes sense.
What's the curiosity here? How can I get into this thing and give it a shot? And so I don't know, I think I want to like get into a little bit of like, okay, so if this idea is exciting or interesting, or like, ooh, this is provocative maybe. Right? How do you then start utilizing this to play with, right? For me, it's play.
Right? When it's play, it's so much easier to do. And
so I think it might be illustrative. That's one of those words I've always read and never actually heard. I don't know.
I have several of these English words that I have read many times and don't know how to pronounce them. So illustrative. I think I know which one you mean. And
so it might be a helpful illustration. I was thinking about what you said about in the early days of your coaching practice. You had this awareness that outreach to people to let them know what you were up to and to sort of invite them into that.
Invite them into my world.
You had heard or had on good authority that was a valuable thing to do.
Yes.
Right? And I mean, it had been described to you, I think we come from the same sort of teaching modality, right? It had been described to you as a system for getting into contact with people and getting coaching and creating the thing that leads to compensation, that leads to effectiveness in the world and so on. And so you were also talking about how sort of intimidating it was.
Yes, because not something I'd ever done before, so it was completely new. So I was discovering a new game.
Totally. And so for you to actually take on that thing that was intimidating, like what helped you actually get into the practice of it, or to experiment with that system?
So it was this thing of others having fun with it. So I saw people who really enjoyed it, who really had this, that's been so cool having that conversation with that person that I hadn't talked to in 15, 20 years, whatever it was. And then I had to say, I want to do that too. I want to have fun with it. So I had to figure out how to make it fun, how to make it interesting, how to, because it was all about curiosity as well, because it was one of those things of, I haven't talked to that person in like 15 years or 10 years or 5 years or whatever it was. Let me reach out and see how they're doing. Or one of the things that I did, and that started at the end of the lockdown times, was where I have family all over the globe, but most of them I only exchanged messages with. I had never been on a video call, and I had to say, I'm going to invite all of them. I invited most of them because it was really cool to do. It was really interesting to see these people, the way that, hear them, see them, see them behave, see them do the word choices they had, the accents they had, all that kind of stuff. So it became so cool to do, but it became this system of, okay, every week I'm going to invite so many people for that, a couple of family members, a couple of this, a couple of that. And it became such a cool system that was such a really interesting game that kept my curiosity going. It was so much fun.
Yes. And so, I mean, there's so many things there, right? The attraction to this as like, this would be helpful. And that there's an inspiration there. Right?
That was a starting point.
A sense of like, okay, this is something to explore. And then the actual, what I hear and it just really reflects the rest of our conversation, is that it was once it became interesting or attractive or curiosity provoking for you, then it was doable.
Yeah.
Then it became something that you could reliably sort of repeat and you were willing to experiment with even further.
Yes. Because that's the thing, what happens with people, the moment you have something that kind of works a little bit, you can start tweaking it and tweaking it and tweaking it until it works better. And then it just becomes so much more fun to do. And you can do that with almost anything. Like when we were talking, so I have the business that I do it in. I do online games with my kids that I do it in, but I also love doing knitting and crochet that I do it in. And when you start thinking about it, it's all kind of pleasure driven. Yeah. And then I realized at some point that pleasure is literally what it's about in life. That's what humans need. So grinding in a game is seen as different as grinding in your business, but I can make it kind of the same.
Yeah.
And that's been really good, realizing that I can put that pleasure into anything, but I have to look for it. I have to figure out what the pleasure point is.
Mm-hmm.
And once I have it, let's go.
Yes. Okay, I love this. And I'm thinking of like applying this to like some other realm. Like a lot of my last sort of place of employment, I was employed as a career coach. And so I got a lot of experience talking with people about their hopes and dreams, and also all of the fears and, you know, the limiting factors that they felt they had to account for, and that honestly, a lot of them felt really held down by circumstances of the job market or their own training or their own abilities. You know?
Yep, I still hear that a lot. So yeah,
absolutely. And one of the greatest like things that I love about coaching and going into that space with people is helping them find the piece that for them does pull them forward.
Yes,
and that pulls them out of the circumstance and the imposition and into the empowerment.
Yeah,
right. And so. In the book, they mentioned sort of how like there's a system you can use for utilizing the systems framework, and the explicit question can be, okay, and I encourage anybody listening to like actually take some time, set aside some time to actually do this. I found it massively helpful. What I do is I go for walks and I talk into a voice recorder that I have on my phone.
Yep. Very helpful.
Yeah, and it's a way for me to explore my thoughts in a way that doesn't feel rigid. It actually, like, I'm out moving, I'm looking at trees, I'm like stepping over puddles, and I'm just sort of riffing, and I'm just going. I'm a verbal processor. So if I can't rope somebody in, I can't go, Deanna, let's talk for an hour while I work something out, right? It's helpful for me to talk to my phone. So that's a system I use to get this stuff out. Right? If it's sitting down at your writing desk and putting on your headphones and doing that, then do that. But the point is, the question is, the system to use is, okay, what is not working in my life? Okay. Or what do I wish was working better? Or what am I wanting right now? Okay. Yeah. And once you have that idea, and it'll be relationships, it'll be work, it'll be my morning routine, right? I'm tired all the time. Like I'm getting fat, like whatever the thing is.
Yep.
For each of us, right?
Yes. Once
you identify the thing that is not working or is exciting and that you want to explore more, then the question becomes, and this is a necessary question, and they say in the book, The Power of Systems, most people mess this up, and God, do I relate to that? Because the next step that most of us do is say, okay, here's what I'm going to do about that, which is a way of saying, here is the system I'm going to install to handle that challenge that I'm facing. Yeah. And in the book, they point out, whoa, you're jumping ahead of yourself. First, what they recommend is asking yourself, about this thing that I want to change or adjust or grow.
Yeah.
The first thing to do is say, what is my existing system for that thing? Right?
Yes, because there is a system for that thing.
And this is a fundamental aspect of using this approach, is everything has an existing system.
Yes,
right?
It does.
The way that many of the people I would speak to in my career coaching, their first system for understanding what was available in the job market was to open up LinkedIn or Indeed or whatever jobs board was going and start scrolling.
Yep.
Right. And then they would start doing this comparison, compare despair piece. Right? And they would end up in this place of like crunchy, like emotionally crunchy, like upset, feeling low. And the thing that they would do with that is throw out a few easy applications, one click apply type things. And then they'd go and eat a bunch of food or drink a bunch of alcohol or, distract themselves because they felt so crappy. That is an existing system.
Yes.
The one that they had. And so just with understanding that, okay, the existing system you had for identifying people to speak to, right, and making available coaching was none.
Yeah.
Right?
I had nothing.
Yeah. And so, okay, there's this thing I want to be doing. What's the way I have for currently doing this? I don't have it. Okay. Or I have this thing that doesn't feel good. Or, So one thing I've learned over the years is like, okay, if I wake up a little bit before everybody else and have a little bit of time to myself, I do better. Right. And so there's something about the way, like, I'm just so frustrated with my kids getting me up in the morning. Okay, well, there's some systems that I have, or there's some ways of being that I have already, my existing system that I've uncovered that actually does work for me. Okay, so that's part of what you might discover too. So then first question, what do I want to change? What's not working? Or what's exciting that I want to actually have more leverage over? Second question, what's my existing system?
Yes.
And third, then, what do I want to adjust? Do I want to replace? Right?
Yeah, you got to figure that out.
Yeah. What do I want to experiment with? To your, the attractive piece from earlier. How can I remove the sort of judgment, the rigidity, or whatever? And how can I get into actually making adjustments that we'll see? What could I play with? What game could I play? Right. And we're not throwing out the existing system. And what identifying the existing system that we have does is it reifies, it reaffirms that thing that you really astutely pointed out. There's always a system.
There is.
Right. So it reaffirms that for us. It also lets us understand, hey, I'm doing something that largely is working or has helpful elements to it.
Yeah.
And if we just jump in and start creating new things, we might miss all the stuff that we're doing already that does feel good.
It's really good to keep the parts of the system that are working and just tweak the parts that are not through experimenting into something better.
Yes.
Because your current system is what's got you here and probably keeping you here. So then it's useful to look at the system as in what's really working, this, and this. What's maybe ready for improvement? Well, that and that. Okay, what's the improvement? Let's go there. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. Because it's always, hey, let's try it, see what happens. And if it doesn't work, go. Retweak again to the point of where at some point you have to say, yes, this is working. Let's do it.
Yes. You also give yourself like the mental sort of workload of only having to adjust a few things rather than like, starting over from scratch.
That's way too complex, takes way too much energy, is just such a waste of time. I've tried it. I won't be doing that again.
Absolutely. I think we all have. I'm thinking about a client story. It's just, I met with somebody yesterday who was realizing that in one of the ways she's going about the work that she has in her career is that this old question keeps coming up of like, how do I know that I'm doing a good job? She wants to be bringing more of the thought leadership that she has and the authority she has in certain areas. She's really good at certain things that I'm going to leave vague for privacy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
She's really good at certain things and she wants to be practicing them more in her work. But one of the current systems that she has is that she worries about where her value comes from. She's like, I want to, like, one of the current systems she has is looking for validation from her work, from her employer, from her boss, from her manager, from her employee, like the people on her team. And so that has consistently got her in a place of, oh, if I go too big and try to create this thing that I want to be bringing into my days, my career, then I'm not sure if I'll be doing a good job, and I'm not sure how to check to see to get validated.
Yeah.
Right. And so realizing that she had this existing system of looking for validation from around her helped us go, okay, like, we're not going to say what you need now is to only validate yourself, right? That is the new system that you're going to use, and that is the way that you will be. My aha in the coaching session on her issues, or her sort of challenge, was going, oh, if I advocate for her tossing out this existing system she has, for getting reflections of her value, then I'm going to be asking or recommending something that's much too big.
Yeah.
Right? And it's going to be too big of a change. And instead, what we can bring in what she can start experimenting with, is, where does my own validation come from?
Yeah.
When do I feel validated? Can I validate myself? That is something to experiment with, while not stopping also looking for the ways I'm validated by the people around me in my work.
Yeah. Frequently, the system itself isn't all that bad, but adding a little bit to it that makes it more complete, because frequently it's about missing links here and there.
Yes.
And just adding them to it will help. Sometimes it's also that a link needs a bit of tweaking, and it doesn't matter. But the system as is doesn't need to be completely chucked out of the window.
Yeah.
That rarely works. So.
Yeah. I was talking with a friend a couple days ago about how he's been checking out and reminded of the work of the philosopher Alan Watts.
Yep. Know him.
And he said one of the things that Alan Watts does is he undemonizes. I can't remember the exact words he used. He said he says we don't need to demonize the action of the ego.
No, we don't.
We get to allow us to be squishy, fallible, needy humans, right?
Yeah.
We don't need to say that the thing that I'm doing in my life is bad or wrong. You get to say, is it effective?
Yes.
Right. And part of evaluating the current system and saying, a lot of this is actually working for me. I'm going to make tweaks and adjustments. If I don't demonize like the way I've been operating, you said it beautifully earlier, what I've been doing got me here to the point where I'm interested in exploring how I can be even more effective.
Yes.
There's so much that's working about our existing systems. And so if we have to sort of end on anything, it's that what this doesn't mean is that we're not in blame and shame and regret, or like any kind of like sense of I need to do this to be okay. It's like, no, this is a way of approaching and actually working with and being functional in our lives that can really appreciate everything we've done up till now, but use this experimental idea to say, and how do I want to adjust that so that I can be even more active, even happier, right?
Yeah, it's one of those things that I picked up from Alan Watts as well, as in, I don't need fixing.
Yes.
Because that's what frequently people think. They go through to a therapist and a this and a that because they need fixing. No, they're okay as they are. I'm okay as I am. Are there a couple of things where I could do better? Yes. But that requires experimenting and tweaking things. That doesn't mean that I need fixing. That means that certain behaviors and certain systems could be better. And that's not a lot. All of a sudden it becomes small because I need fixing. Well, how is that even going to work? Who's, re-upload?
Yeah.
No, that's not going to be the thing. I can't become Diana 2.0. It's not going to work that way. But I can tweak things. I can experiment with certain behaviors. I can experiment with certain, actions I take. It doesn't matter. I can experiment and see what it brings. And if it doesn't bring joy or whatever I want it to bring, then I can experiment further and see what will.
Yes. From a perspective of I am whole. I am just right. And
I'm fine. Yep.
I am just trying to sharpen, to expand the parts
Hmm.
that are lovely and working. There's a therapy modality called internal family systems.
Yes, I know it. I love it.
Yes. For anybody that doesn't, it's about people call it parts work,
Yep.
because the core idea is that we all have parts inside of us
Hmm.
that are trying to get certain things
Hmm.
accomplished, or are freaked out by certain things, or triggered by certain things.
Yep.
But fundamentally, we have a capital S self, our
Hmm.
fundamental self that we
Yes.
intermittently have access to
Yep.
is kind and wise and generous and compassionate and
Yes.
patient and forgiving.
Hmm.
And the more we connect with that Alan Wattsian sense of I
Hmm.
don't need fixing.
Yep.
Fundamentally, there is nothing wrong with me and I am
Yes.
so good.
Exactly.
And right, the parts work
Hmm.
is about the things that get between us and ourself.
Yes. What's trying to keep you safe is always what I ask people, because
Yeah.
it's not like I have clients coming in with I'm self-sabotaging on this and this and this level. What's trying to keep you safe is my first question then, because there's something inside of you that thinks that thing that you want to do is too scary. So
Yeah.
therefore keeping you safe is not doing it. But what's doing that and why is it doing that? And the moment you have that thing of, oh, I'm not self-sabotaging, I'm keeping myself safe, you get such a different perspective on it.
Yes.
And then it's so much easier to tweak the little system to do it.
Yes. Yes. To say, okay, of course, this part of me is
Hmm.
trying to keep me safe. It's scared of this happening.
Hmm.
It just has good evidence from the past, usually, that
Yes,
if
that's
that
it.
thing happens, it's going to be horrible.
Yeah.
you know, I
Yeah.
have this old thing. Anyway, like what if I say this isn't a part of me that needs to be expunged? This is a part of me that's trying to protect me.
Yes.
But I can work from a different perspective. What if I'm not as under threat as that part
Hmm.
thinks I am,
Yeah.
right? And
Have the
yeah,
dialogue. Like
yeah,
one of my friends, she's really into this. And what she will do is put a couple of puppets down, the one that keeps her safe and the one that wants to do it, and talk. So she'll sit here, talk to that part, then sit there, talk to the other part. And then you get so much clarity about what's going on because you have
yes,
the dialogue between the two parts.
yes. What a
And
great
it's so
system for
it's yes.
getting an understanding of what might be going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
cool.
I
It's really
I
cool
love
stuff.
that.
And it's
Oh
again a
man,
system because all is systems. All
yes.
right. We've had quite the talk and I really enjoyed it. So, do you have any last words of wisdom that you'd like to share with those who are watching or listening? Yes.
Um, you are so amazing.
That
Right?
is great.
Come
Yep.
back to remember
Hmm.
that, and fundamentally, and
Yeah.
all of our efforts, all of your efforts to sharpen yourself, all of your efforts to be living the life that you want to be living, that you're missing maybe, or that you're craving.
Mhm.
Like, not only is all of that possible, but very often one of the systems that's really helped me has been slow down.
Mhm.
Right. And if there's any sort of lesson from from the steps that I shared, in the middle step being like, what is your existing system?
Yeah.
Then the existing system includes so much about your life that is working,
Yes.
right? So much about you that is just how you're supposed to be, and just,
Yeah.
man, what an expression of you in the world.
Mhm.
So slowly,
Yeah.
generously experimenting from there is a great place to start.
Definitely. Yeah, I love that. All right. When people want to contact you, how could they best do that?
Yeah, they can just email me at coachmick@pm.me.
All right.
Yeah. And
We.
I love hearing from folks. I love geeking out on stuff. And
Mhm.
yeah, if
Yeah.
we end up talking about it, fantastic. But just
Yeah.
hearing from people is just really, really special.
All right, cool. I'll put that in the description with the video then.
Great.
And then I want to tell you that I really enjoyed this conversation. It was really fun to do this. And thank you for joining me today. Hopefully we
Thanks
can do it
for
another
the
time.
opportunity to dig in. This stuff is
Anytime.
like you said, like a conversation is a great system for getting into and sharing ideas and for connecting with other people. So I appreciate it too.
Yeah, great. Well, hopefully we can do it again at some point.
We will.
All right, let's do that. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Till next time.